welcome or welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? I don't know. However, today's tutorial is on this super vibrant look, and it's the second tutorial using this Blush Tribe's Full Fusion palette, which is fast turning into a palette that I'm going to reach for a lot. So, if you want to see exactly how I achieved this look, sit down, put your feet up, have a cuppa. Here comes the tutorial. Hey, welcome back from the intro. As you can see, face is all done, and it's now time to use some of the other colours from this Full Fusion palette. Because obviously the first tutorial I did used the cooler shadows, and today I'm going to use some of the warmer ones. So let's get you zoomed in and start sticking some of this on my face. Just let my white balance catch up. There we go. Right, when I look straight ahead, you can see all of my mobile eyelid. That means I think I've got you a little bit close actually, I can't see both my eyes. There we go, that's better. I don't have a hooded eye. If you can't see that, you've either got a full or a half hooded lid. Now you can still follow my tutorials. All you need to do is get a thinner brush, something like this, and with your eye open, pick up the first colour we're going to be using and just sketch out just where you need your crease to be. Now obviously that will reduce the amount of space between your crease colour and your brow. There's a number of ways we can get round this. You can raise your brows when you're putting the colour on, and you can see the difference that makes. Alternatively, you could start off with a slightly more tapered brush. I'm going to be starting off with this Coastal Scents brush, which is a classic blender natural, which you can see very loosely packed and quite wide here. You could always start off with something more like this, where it's still loosely packed but a lot narrower here. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this one, and I'm going to go into Aspen, which is that beautiful yellow. I have got my colour switch here for tapping off into and for changing colours. There is a fair amount of kick up again on this yellow, as you can see, but as I said before, kick up doesn't worry me because it means you're getting pigment onto your brush, and when you go back in to pick up more colour for the next bit we're going to do, you can just pick up the kick up. I'm rhyming, it's time to put some colour on my face. So I'm going to start off with windscreen wipers. I always start from the outside edge, and I'm just following the shape of my natural eyeball. Obviously if you've got hooded lids, then you need to do this wherever you've laid your line out to. Okay, and I'm just going to go and pick up the kick up, and I'm going to do little circular movements like this, following that line across to the nose, and then lift it up slightly, reverse the direction of the circle, and bring it back out, and then lift it back up again, reverse it back to the original direction, and back across. That's how I find best to blend the colour up my eye, because obviously where I'm at 44, my eyelids move. I've also lost a lot of weight over the last few years, so eyelids move. And this eye that I'm blinding got pulled around a lot at the ophthalmic when I was like 5 and 6, and you can see I've got permanent creases here now in this eye. You see this one actually moves a lot more than this one does. Okay, so once I've done the circles, I normally go up to about sort of 4 or 5 mils from the lowest part of my brow. Once I'm happy with the depth of colour, if I want to do this to be brighter, I could go back in, add some more colour to it, continue blending up again, or I can just do very short windscreen wipers, just up and down, all the way across, just to doubly make sure we haven't got any areas of skin that doesn't have pigment on them. I must admit, when I swatched this one, it did swatch quite dry, but it's going on lovely and it's blending out absolutely fine. I do struggle this corner getting pigment to lay down because I do have creases here and here. So at the moment, the reason I'm struggling to get this pigment down here is literally the creases, because you can see everywhere else is absolutely fine. So, you know, if it was an issue with the palette, I would of course tell you, which you will know if you've watched my palette fail video. I like that. And now I'm going to pick up some yellow again, Aspen, and I'm going to repeat the entire process on this eye. I don't speed my tutorials up for a number of reasons. Partly, I want you to know exactly how long it's going to take you to create this eye look. So you need to, so you know, if you want to do this for going out, you know what sort of time you need to start putting the makeup on your face. Particularly if you're a beginner, I want you to be able to follow along with me, because when I was first learning, it drove me nuts. And they'd say, right, I'm going to go off camera now and do the other eye. I didn't tap that off very well, did I? Look at that. The last few days I've actually done my base after my eyes, so I've got a bit sloppy with tapping off, so that's my fault. Yeah, that's definitely my fault. But as you can see, the fallout did just dust off nicely. Pinks and reds and blues, dust them off really quick, because if anything's going to stain your skin, that will. But if it does, you can always go over it with a bit of concealer and powder, and it'll sort it out for you. But yeah, it used to wind me up when they'd say, I'm going to go and do the other eye off camera, and you'd think, right, so now I've got to rewind this tutorial that you've done and try and follow along, but in mirror image. And if they speeded the blending up, and I'd have to keep pausing it, because I don't know about you, but I watch the majority of tutorials on my phone. So my screen lock would keep coming on, and I'd have to keep on, and it used to really wind me up. I'm like, look, I don't care if you're talking absolute blithering nonsense to me, or if you're just playing music while you're doing it. Just, you know, let me follow along at the same speed as you, sort of thing. You know, if you are confident enough with the blending and you don't need me to talk through this, you just want to see the colours and everything, there's a widget down there where you can actually speed me up. Yeah, I'm going to sound like a chicken and look very strange indeed, but you know, if that cheers you up, then, you know, by all means stick me on 2 speed or whatever. Yeah, I do like this colour. Even blended out, it stayed vibrant, because very often with yellows, when you blend them out, they lose some of that initial vibrancy. But I really like this. I'm holding the brush right at the very end, so I'm putting as little pressure on as possible. Right, let's clear the pigment off of the brush. Oh, there's so many choices. I've just gone in with this one. Do I want to do this one next? I think I'm going to do this one and then this one. So I'm going to go in with Pumpkin on exactly the same brush that I did the first bit with. And we're going to start off exactly the same way with our windscreen wiper. through the crease or wherever your crease needs to be. That is really vibrant. I do love Blush Tribe palettes because it's run by a woman who isn't super pale, and it's her palettes always have awesome pigment. So if you are a person who has more melanin in your skin, these colours are still going to show up on you, and they're still going to blend, and they're still going to look beautiful. Right, so this time, last time when we blended out, we went like that and we lifted up and up and up. I'm not doing that this time. I'm keeping the bristles level with just the top of the crease line that I've put in. I'm just going to blend along the crease line there. I'm going to reverse the direction still, but I'm not going to lift the brush up. I'm coming back along that same line because I want to retain the yellow at the top. And I want to give us a nice, start adding some depth to the eye look. You can see this is blending out beautifully well. And it's really giving definition on the eye as well. You can see the difference between the two. I'm just going to take the colour off, pick up a little bit of that yellow, that aspen again, and just where the two colours meet, I'm just going to gently buff over, partly to make sure we get a seamless transition, and partly to make sure we don't lose that beautiful yellow at the top there. Pretty. Right, back into pumpkin, and we'll repeat that on this eye. Now this is an ideal time for me to show you what I mean about I get tiger stripes here. Where I have these permanent creases, can you see that the only way that I can get rid of these is unfortunately I have to pull the creasing out. Now I do not advise you to do this with your eyes unless you already have the same issue as me, otherwise you will give yourself the same issue as me. And trust me, you don't want your eyes to crease any earlier than they're going to. So again, blend this along that crease line. Such a gorgeous colour. I mean, it's perfect for autumn. It really is a pumpkin. It's just stunning. I don't know why I'm sounding surprised. You know, I've got other palettes of hers. The first one of hers I bought was Psychedelic, which I believe was a private labelled one where she didn't actually have a hand in dealing with the formulas. But even that gives superb pigmentation. The first one of hers that I bought, where she actually did the pigmentation herself and had a hand in it, was Hasina 2. And you'll see from the number of times I've used that just how much I love that palette. So I've picked up the yellow again, and I'm just going to blend across where the two colours meet, just to keep that beauty. You know. So we've got a lovely blend and we still keep the yellow at the top there. I really, really like these colours. Right, I'm now going to go in. This is the Classic Blender. This is the Classic Blender Crease. Now it looks like a pencil brush, but it's a lot looser packed. Pencil brushes tend to be more densely packed. So I prefer this because it still gives you some blending. And I am going into Bonfire. Beautiful fire engine red. I'm just going to lay a bit of pigment on this outside corner here. Ooh, lovely. Now, purples, blues, greens, and to a certain extent reds are the most difficult colours to create. So let's see how this one does. I've picked up a little bit more, and again I'm going to run that through my crease. And I didn't tap off well enough because I've got fallout, which I'm going to deal with straight away before it does that. Okay. I really need to make sure I dust this brush off properly. There we go. Right, now this time I'm not going to take the brush up at all. I'm just blending what I've already laid down. I'm not adding any more pigment. I'm not going up the eye at all. I'm just literally blending along the crease line. This is why I went for a more tapered brush, because I didn't want it to flare out. I wanted to keep it contained so we still see the three colours going up the eye. And I'm now going to do exactly the same, tapping off better this time on, I think I tapped off too much, on this eye. So start off with the outside corner. Pick up a wee bit more, tap off, and run it through the crease. There you go, see, I can do it without getting pigment everywhere. And then just blend that crease line into the orange to really give definition on the look. Such a beautiful palette, this one. Right, using this brush still, I'm going to go into Fire Pit. And I'm just going to really gently run that just along the bottom lash line and join it up to meet the red there. It's very rare for me to do one quite this bright and warm. I normally stick a cool colour in there somewhere, but I couldn't resist. Because I've got very watery eyes, I don't tend to put anything on the inner rim of my eye or tight line the upper line, because it makes my eyes water too much and it just ends up ruining the eye look. So I just put colour underneath instead. I do sometimes stick something in the eye line if I want specific photos for Instagram or whatever, but yeah, normally I don't. Right, I'm going to go in now with two different packer brushes. One of them is my Spectrum A16, which is this size. The other one is a So Eco one, which I would tell you what it's called, but the name's rubbed off, so I can't. So you can see they're both similar shape and both very, very thin. And I'm going to use this one for the very corner of my eye, and then this one to fill in the rest of the lid. So I'm going to go into Sakina, pick some of that up, and grab this is my Obsession Pigment Boost that I use. You can use any setting spray, you can use a hydrating spray like MAC Fix Plus or Mario Badescu, or you can just use clean water. But the whole point of this is I just want to wet this shadow before I apply it. I'm going to start off in that, in the inner part of my lid, just so I can. This is why I started off with a smaller one, so I have more precision down here. And once I get it to there, I switch to my So Eco brush, pick up the pigment, spray it, and then pop that on the remaining parts of the lid that didn't already have any pigment on. That's pretty. That is so, so pretty. Oh, I like that. Now, because I don't like going back into the pan with a wet brush, I clean them off in my colour switch. And then dry them off on the palm of my hand, just to make sure that I'm not going back in with a wet brush, because I'm sure it wouldn't happen with the Blush Tribe pigments because they are such good quality, but you can sometimes get a pan seal on you, so it's difficult to pick up pigment then if you go into the pan itself with a wet brush. So I just prefer not to take the chance. So again, going in with my A16. So I've got nice control over. So you can see how far that's now gone back in. So you can see now why I have to actually do that with my lid. But, you know, that's the face God gave me, so this is such a beautiful colour, beautiful soft rose kind of. It's almost like a coppery rose. That is such a pretty colour. Right. Let's pop the palette down and let's grab my Ofra Nikki Tutorials Cloud 9. As you can see, it's got a pinky purpley shift to it. And I'm just going to, using my A16 brush that I've just used, pop some of this just on the inner corner. To brighten it. And then pop just a little bit just up under the tail of my brow. To give that the illusion of being lifted and beautiful. Right, let's zoom you back out for a minute. And I'm going to grab my Zoeva 105 Luxe highlighting brush. And I'm going to pop some down my nose, just a little bit, just between my eyebrows there. Top lip, chin, and then of course cheekbones. Now the reason I do this before I do my mascara is I don't want any of the powder from the highlight to get onto the mascara. So I do all my powder work first before I then go in with the mascara. And if I were doing an eyeliner, I would also do that after I've done this stage. But you can see the beautiful pink shift in this highlighter really accents the lovely warm eye look. Right, I am going to just pop off camera and decide whether I'm going to do liner and do that, and then do lashes, and then I'll come back on to do lips, because I've got something a little bit different for that today. So bear with and don't go anywhere. Hey, I decided against liner, as you can tell. I've also just taken my hair down, but for lips I'm actually going to be using this. Now this is the Blood of My Enemies highlighter, Halloween highlighter, liquid highlighter from Revolution, but it does stain your skin. So I have got a nail art brush, this is the number 2, so it's a nice fine brush, as you can see. And I am going to, let's zoom you in. I'm going to pick up some of the highlighter from the outside of the little pipette. Just apply it as like a lip stain. Which I think looks really pretty. And obviously this is going to last a long time if you're only using it as a lip stain. I mean, this would be good if you were using it as fake blood, for example. But do make sure you've either got face paint or latex or something underneath it, just so it doesn't stain your skin. that look? And then just going to clean this brush off on a face wipe, because this is the brush that I use when I'm putting like lip salves on or lip masks, because it's such a nice, thin, small brush that you can get into all of the parts of your lip, as you can see. But my friend Shirley sent me a couple of Smashbox lip glosses. Now, I wore one of them in a tutorial the other day, and I think that this one, called Orange Light, would work really nicely over top of this. There. How pretty is that? And then, of course, everyone knows the final step is setting spray, and I'm going to go in with this Gerard Cosmetics Slay All Day in a Jasmine. So we extend and we liberally douse our faces. Most people would stop here. Regular viewers know I'm a little bit extra, so I like a little bit extra. Because once I spent all this time making myself look pretty, I want it to stay put. So there you go, there is my second tutorial using the Full Fusion palette from a Blush Tribe. And once again, no complaints at all. Even the shade that I was a little bit worried about when I swatched it, that super bright yellow, the first shade we put down, swatched quite powdery and felt quite dry when I was swatching it. But on applying it to the eye, you can see it blended out beautifully. And as always, I will take some photos now, and if I remember I'll take some during the day. If not, I'll just take some at the end of the day, and we can see then how much or if these fade. So, I hope you have found this interesting, helpful, fun. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button for me, comment, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, don't forget to ring my bell and choose all notifications so that you get told every time I upload another one of these videos. And talking of another one of these videos, there's plenty to choose from on the channel now. Why not pop over and have a look at another one? Alright, all that remains for me to say is you'll stay fabulous now, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.